guys, it's Chrissy, finally a farm girl. This is Peter, for Pete's sakes, on Instagram, and this is Stitchy Linda. We are actually recording a special today, which is post-retreat type of a FlossTube. I am sure that several of you have already watched recaps of StitchCon 2023, and I don't know as much. Peter this year got to experience a retreat that he's going to share, and he was gone a week after us. So I won't do a whole lot of preliminary life updates or chit chats. We actually gathered together today here. It is Sunday, June 25th, I believe. We thought about last weekend, but he was just, I think, getting back, and it was Father's Day weekend.
Yep, I was at my parents' house.
Okay.
So.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
So we just thought it was best to push it off a week, and then we were going to gather at our LNS, which is Brick City Cross Stitch in Ocala, Florida. So, first of all, you know Linda and I did the road trip to StitchCon 2023, as well as this year our third musketeer was Jen, Sweet Chaos Stitcher, and we just had a fabulous time. So we're going to touch base throughout the episode as to things that happened, so that you get to hear a little bit about Peter's experience as well as ours, and the two differences in retreats, which I think is really interesting because I'm anxious to hear. I have never actually been to a designer retreat. I've only done Brick City as far as the weekend and the one day, and so Peter actually went to
Country Sampler up in Spring Green, Wisconsin. They had their summer stitch camp. So, and
they do. I wonder about how many retreats does Country Sampler do? Do you know? Like, is this their big one?
So they Country Sampler has quilting and cross stitch, and so I think they've got a quilting one as well. So
okay,
this is their big cross stitch.
This is their big one, and
yep.
They call it summer camp every year. Stitch
yep.
camp.
Yep.
And who were the designers that were there?
So our designers were Blackbird Design, Alma, and then it was Kimberly Nugent from Samplers Not Forgotten, and Stacy Nash from Stacy Nash Designs.
Which I have slowly learned that I love Stacy Nash, but I have yet to stitch a Stacy Nash piece, I don't think. I pulled out when I was organizing all my patterns and doing stuff. Yep. I realized like I have tons of Brenda Gervais, and I actually have a lot of Stacy Nash, and yet forget to stitch. I think I learned one thing in doing that little organization is like, if you don't see your pieces, if you don't see your patterns, or at least go through them a little bit, you don't even really know what you have. So
yeah. Yep.
I found out I was a Stacy Nash freak.
When I show you the Stacy Nash stuff and we talk about what she presented, it may inspire you to start something.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yep.
Okay, so we went the week before, so maybe we'll start a little bit with that. We did the road trip.
We did a road trip.
We did a little bit, I think, well...
It did seem like a little road trip.
Well, we seem to have this issue. It seems like it happened last year. We left at 7 and got in at 12. But this year, we drove straight through. Last year, we stopped over. This year, we drove straight through, and 3 drivers, so piece of cake until we hit Kentucky. And we were probably in Kentucky longer than any of the other states. It was stop and go.
It was crazy.
And we got in at midnight. To the hotel, which was fine. I mean, at least, we already had our rooms and stuff, so that was great.
Yeah. I mean, it worked overall. I'm really glad we did what we did.
Oh, yeah.
Because we woke up there. That in and of itself was great. I felt bad for Jen when she got... we found our way. Linda always starts. She's the AM driver. And Jen had picked me up in her car, and then we went up to Linda's property, and then we loaded up that car, and we were on the road.
Yeah, 7
earlier than
very good.
Yeah, earlier than last night. And she was hauling, and Linda always does. I mean, she was hauling. She got us through Atlanta. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
We were like, this is good. This is really good. And then Jen took over after our Cracker Barrel-ish lunch or something.
Tennessee somewhere maybe. North.
And then I felt really bad because something just really happened. It was Jen. Maybe it was Jen.
Luckily, it didn't
she's not here,
home.
so we could do that. Yeah, it's going home as far as travels were concerned. It was smooth sailing. We did it in one day, and I know now we can do that in the future. With 3 drivers, it wasn't bad. And then I felt like I didn't drive near as much. but I did take us home. I get to say I drove us into the retreat center, convention center. So how was your travels?
My travels
You
were
flew,
excellent.
right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
most definitely.
Yeah.
So I flew into Chicago, and that went without a hiccup. And then my parents live nearby, so I got to spend the night before with my parents and 2 nights
Which is
afterwards
nice.
with them. And so it was just
Now,
it was great to
What
be
day
home.
did your retreat start, Peter?
So we had a dinner on Thursday
Okay.
night, and then the designers were Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
So you got a piece Friday, like a surprise Friday, and
Yes.
then Saturday
Yeah,
too, and then is Sunday kind of you still get to stitch, or do you start leaving?
So Saturday at lunch was the end of the designer portion, and then it
Okay.
was free stitching Saturday afternoon.
And just for inquiring minds,
Yep.
do you, when you're there and you're at country, can you shop anytime you want? Because it's a store-based thing. Is it like how we have?
An annex, like it's
Like, can you just go shop
yeah.
whenever?
So there was well, I've got a whole story. So
yeah.
the shop is open the entire time of the retreat.
Okay.
It wasn't until Friday afternoon when a trunk show opened up in the shop's classroom.
Okay.
Okay.
So then that
Kind of
was-
similar
that
to
was optional.
ours.
Right.
Yep.
Because the annex didn't open until Friday morning with
Right.
us.
We got, that's why I think it's just interesting for people to get the dynamics of both, because I've never been on that, so I just wasn't sure. But for us, we
Yeah,
get a sneak peek.
I've got all my patterns lined up
Already
to
go.
tell a whole
course he does.
story.
I'm sure.
So.
We cannot wait.
Of course he does.
Yeah. So
Okay, so then the next thing I think that is really important in retreats is your table mates. We were number 12. Do you remember your number, or did it have a number?
we did not have numbers.
You don't have a number.
No.
Were you like
At a round table?
round?
Yeah.
and-
So we were at a round table. There was 6 of us.
Okay,
and
same as
so,
ours. Okay.
I was there by myself, and so the one thing that I would say is that go to a retreat by yourself.
Yeah, you'll meet.
Because you'll meet people. You know,
Right.
when you go to, you know, your spouse's work party, it's like I'm not going to know anybody, and then you've got to figure out what small chit chat.
Yeah.
At a stitching event, it's easy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the very first question is always, what are you working on?
Yep.
Who's your favorite designer?
Yep.
Who's your favorite FlossTuber?
Right.
And then you just go from
You
there.
go, right.
And so going to a retreat by yourself should not be the reason you don't go to a retreat. So go. It's fun. I didn't know anybody at my table, and then we said good morning, and
And
That
this was
it.
your
spent
first really big retreat,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I mean, he's been
Yeah.
to like a one-day Brick City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've done the 1 day bare bones, which is basically just a conference room and stitching time, which is
Yeah.
excellent.
Right.
This was my first out of state, the first with a designer,
Yeah.
a lot of firsts. So it was,
It checked a lot of boxes.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right. So our table was. Do you want to shout out who you were sitting with? Like, do you recall?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
so I was sitting with Anne, Sue, Jen, Pam, and Jill.
Very nice. Okay, and I know you've got table stuff, special stuff to share later. So we actually got to sit with our table. We ended up short one, believe it or not. We were holding, and we had a bunch of people. I ended up having a bunch of people at the last minute Instagram messaging like, I think that you feel like you're okay, and then people started getting nervous right before.
Am I going to have a seat?
Am I going to
Yeah.
have a seat? I'm new. I don't know anybody, but I know Chrissy or I know Linda. And all of a sudden I'm like, we'll do the best that we can. And then it was so funny because we ended up with, you know, as people had telling you what time they're coming in, the only one that we really had made a huge commitment to, and that was Judy Whitman of JBW Designs. And I really understand what she was saying, and she's done her own FlossTube and shared her StitchCon experience. But it was Linda, me, Jen Gordon, and then which is Sweet Chaos Stitcher, and then JBW Judy Whitman, and then Chris Leedy, and an empty chair.
Excellent.
And at one point, somebody thought there was a project bag there, and sometimes you just never know.
I mean, it's a little
where things
chaotic
come
in the
from,
beginning.
right? It's
Yes.
chaos, and so we got it all solved. But we did end up with an empty chair, which was kind of nice in some way because people could come sit down
Yes.
and
Good
visit.
chat.
Where normally we see a lot of people get down, like they'll bend down to talk
Oh,
to you,
yeah.
and then
Oh,
they
there it
can't get
is.
back up. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were 12, and I think I've kind of come to learn that table and your time there is just as special
Oh, yeah.
as some of the retreat itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The huge part
Most
of those
definitely.
memories are right there. So, do you want to go ahead? Do you want to start something on
So
your table mates and your?
the
exchange,
things
or-
that I did before I went to retreat.
Sure.
It's not just the stuff that I
Yeah.
did. Okay.
You go right ahead.
So
We love your stuff.
this was my first retreat, and so like many of you, I have seen FlossTube, and it's like these are the things you need for a retreat, and so I went all out. So the first thing that you're always told is you need a stitching mat, and so my stitching mat rolls up,
Want
and
me to hold it?
it's got
Oh, look at that.
a piece of ribbon, and so then the front. This is my stitching mat. So original. I don't know if you can see. There
Yeah.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So then this stitching mat is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It's 16 inches wide and about 10 inches tall. So originally I was going to. Hey, Linda, can you hold that
Yeah,
corner?
I got it.
Originally I was going to use this thread Blackbird Designs fabric. I was going to do mini charms for the entire piece. I have never quilted in my life, and so I chose. I did one row of mini charms. I did a second row of mini charms, and the second row and the first row, none of the corners met.
Oh.
He messaged me and he said, I
I'm-
don't think
I
this
didn't
is
hope
I'm
gonna
like,
work.
this is not gonna work. And so I decided that I was going to use this thread step bind, Blackbird Designs thread step bind fabric line,
Okay.
is where all of this came from, except for the sampler fabric. And so I decided to just do one solid piece instead of the
Yeah.
quilting.
Yeah.
I think
Which-
the others took away from your
Yeah,
design.
and
Yeah.
like I had some pictures to make sure I put all my mini charms in a certain pattern, and so this was better. And then I had all these mini charms, and it's like, what do I do with those? So I decided to put like a little racing stripe. I don't know what else to call it, just to bring attention to this corner piece. This corner piece is from the Sewing Club book, and so it's actually a drum.
Okay.
It's the end of a drum, and so I just brought this design off the end, and then added the letters are from a different book, and so I needed something that was going to be 4 inches tall, so I just went through all my blackbirds to find something that was the appropriate height. So that was that's my stitching mat.
Let me look at it.
Oh, okay.
Since it
Yeah,
went the
and
other way.
so the worst part about doing that stitching mat was the binding. So don't look too close at the binding.
So
that
you
just
did
was too narrow.
all this yourself, though.
Yeah, that's all
I love
sewn
it.
together for myself.
And so you're talking the 2.5-inch charm packs, which I love, and probably one of the things that would have helped you in the future is the chain stitching of them, folding two, chain stitching.
I
That
did
might
that.
have helped. You did that.
I did that. Yeah,
He
because I
did
watched the tutorials, and I'm like,
That's
and
right.
no,
No?
it didn't work.
Well,
So
I agree wholeheartedly. I
Yep,
think
like
this
that too. Yeah.
this one piece, because when I noticed with mine, whenever I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take a picture, this being more of a simple design and not all over, I think your stitching shows up better.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
this
the
is
solid.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So pretty. And well done
and
for
that-
a first one
Yeah,
sewing.
no
that-
kidding.
that corner piece is a bit of summer. So it's the sewing club book, and so that's what the call it. I used a different patterns, thread colors because this was a little too pink and muted, but it's from that book.
A little bit of your own.
Yeah.
Which you're known for.
Yeah. Well, and then I needed a special project bag.
Other than a Ziploc bag.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
I'm so proud.
So I have now doubled the number of project bags I have.
Two.
I've got 2.
We know what that means.
And so this is I started with the floral motif that's in the center, and that's from All Joys for Dying. And then that is the color palette. So those are all the called for colors on this center motif. And then I chose a border from Our Lasting Friendship. And so there's a different border, but the Lasting Friendship has a lot of blues in it. And so I just used all of the reds from that center motif. And then all of the other floral motifs and the birds come from 5 different patterns. So it's just a collection of...
Beautiful.
And I made something similar to this for the Christmas party at Victorian Rose Needle Arts.
Yeah.
This lined fabric is from the Threads That Bind Blackbird Designs fabric line, and then the back is their sampler fabric.
And did you make the bag, sew the bag yourself?
So I've never done a zipper before, and so I took all of these pieces. I cut all of the pieces, put on the interfacing, took them home, and then my mom sewed it all up the night before the retreat started.
That's awesome.
This is 37 count.
I was just going to ask you that. Okay.
Legacy's 37 count corn tassel.
That's beautiful. You know what I think is as interesting is I think you could take, and I've seen you do this before, you take bits and bobs from other Blackbird designs and you put them together and they look like they belong together.
Yes.
I think Blackbird is one of the companies or designers you can do that with. But you could never do that with you couldn't put Finally a Farm Girl and Tiny Modern, you could know who they are, but I don't know that you could do that with many other designers. To me, it's amazing that Blackbird, you can mesh in a lot of ways and make it work.
I would say that it depends on, you can stay within a designer.
Yeah.
But like Stacey Nash or, Blackbird, Scarlet House, a lot of those. A sampler is just a sample of different things.
Motifs.
Right, yeah.
And so Scarlet House, they've got a lot of samplers. Right. You can make your own from all of it. So yeah. And then the gift that I gave everybody was a needle book. And so there's the pattern on the front. And so I made 8 needle books. And so
it sounds like he's got extra.
No, I gave away all of them. Yeah. And so for the needle book, all 8 had the same black, green border, white, and gray. But then I used Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then pink. I had to add pink, so that way I had 8. Yeah. And then I used those colors for the flowers, the thread, and because I'm Pete, the P in camp is also that accent color.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it was
way
fun.
To personalize.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was just fun to do. This pocket is large enough to fit a 3-inch corner gauge, but I printed off little cards to say thank you. So I wrote a message on the back that says thank you. And so this is Violet's Blue. That's my Violet's Blue that I stitched up. So corner gauge can go in the front. Velvet is in the center. And then there's little pockets on this side that scissors and I put scissors, tweezers, and seam ripper.
So I know
That's
you and I
cute.
had talked when you were putting these together, and you were talking initially about putting some lace between those two fabrics and stuff. But I know you changed. Yeah.
Yeah. So the top of the pocket.
Right.
When I've done needle books in the past,
Mhm.
I've put an accent piece of
Mhm.
ribbon or something at the top of
Didn't need it.
the pocket, but my background fabric and my pocket fabric were so different that I didn't need it this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody loved them. So gifts are not required. There was 6 of us at a table. Only 2 of us brought gifts, and that's fine. You know, and people were apologetic. They're like, "Sorry, I didn't bring a gift," and it's like, I did not bring a gift in order to receive a gift.
Right.
I brought a gift so that way I can share my passion, my hobby with other people who will appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that's the gift I brought, and the gift that I received was an orc container.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cute.
cute.
Yeah, and just
Great fabric.
just by chance, again, Blackbird Designs thread that binds fabric, just by chance.
Isn't
it's
that
like
cool?
that's awesome. So
Yeah,
so thank you, Ann. She made me the orc
I
containers.
love that.
All right, so next, these are all the rage right now. The little toolbox. A lot of folks are using jewelry boxes, but at the Quilter Station retreat, they had Lottie Daw come, and Lottie Daw has these wood boxes. On Sable Stitchers, the Roberta and Lenny, they showed these boxes.
Okay.
And so what
It's a
they
nice
are,
size.
yeah, and so they are playing card boxes,
Okay.
and
yeah.
so you can see the size is perfect to put playing
Love
cards in.
Yeah.
And so I cut one of the, because both sides had this wooden bar in it. I cut my one out, and so I've got a little place to put my needles. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one in the center, but all of my other tools fit here. Instead of a piece of board, I used a piece of metal, so that way I can hold my needle minders in that base.
And so that holds the Kohanas perfectly.
Yeah.
Like that's a nice size.
Yeah,
to take,
yeah. So I had to cut out that middle bar in order to fit the Kohanas.
Sure. But
so,
that works great.
but it works out really great.
Love it.
The top are these are pictures of blackbirds that I have stitched, and then I Mod Podged on the top of the box. I didn't want to put a stitched piece just because I didn't want to hurt any sort of stitching. Even though I've got a project bag, but this seemed a little bit harder to put it on. So that's just Mod Podge on top.
Works out great. Really good.
And then the last thing that I did was I went to the Bare Bones retreat at the one day at Brick City.
Not too long ago.
Not too long.
Yeah, and I had my working copy of my pattern, and I had to make it like into a little teepee on my table, and it looked horrible. No one cared, but I did. So what I did is I made a flat fold, and so I had this is just something that I had in a baggie. It is Songbird Whistles that is in the Sewing Club book. It is on Picture This Plus 32 count Olympia. I made it into a flat fold, except for the flat fold, according to Vonna Pfeiffer's tutorial, is 4 pieces of sticky board. I made mine out of 3 pieces of sticky board and 1 piece of metal, so that way I can put a magnet on it, and then I can just magnet my pattern onto it, so that way my patterns are standing up instead of using one of those like office paper holders that they use. So that's a piece of
Nice.
metal, and some folks were asking about where I got it from. So at Lowe's, there's a section that is called sheets of metal, metal by the sheet, metal by the sheet is what it's called. And so that's where I got my piece of metal from. Some people suggested roofing, and the roofing, when you sit there and figure out square inches, it's a little bit cheaper, but the roofing you have to buy 50 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you would do. It's a great idea. People at the retreat loved it, but 50 feet of good idea?
Yeah, no.
I don't think so. So,
You know what I like about that is that, one, it's smaller.
Right.
yeah.
Two, it serves the same purpose. And three, when you come home, you face it forward.
Yeah.
And now you
It's
got
done.
a piece
got a
on
piece to
display.
show,
So
yeah.
fully.
The one thing I would say is that I thought I wanted one that was wide enough for a sheet of paper. So this is 8.5 inches wide.
Mhm.
It takes up quite a bit of space on the table, so you could probably go a little bit narrower. It's just your pattern would hang over a little
Sure,
bit.
yeah.
But so
As
much.
long as what you're working on doesn't move around. So I
Yeah.
can see how that would.
Yeah, so that's the one. But I mean, it was
Love it.
a great idea.
Great.
So that is everything that I made prior to going.
Just to go.
Yeah,
take
just to
with.
go.
Just
to take
to
with,
go.
just for his place.
Wow.
and it's one of those things that I've got lots of pictures of people's area.
Yeah.
Just because it was inspirational.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
So-
I mean, I think that's, what I got of all what you just shared was going to a retreat, no matter what, pushes you outside your comfort zone. So you quilted, you
Yeah.
got creative, you made things for other people and stuff that we don't normally do as stitchers all the time, unless you're a quilter, stitcher, or anything else. But you pushed yourself to do things you might have not otherwise, like just having a project.
Yep.
Now you got two.
Yes.
Just because. So awesome and beautiful stitching.
Oh, yeah.
So
Gorgeous.
all
Or can
right.
or
Well,
receive as gifts.
we just had
Well-
a snack bag of our table.
Well, we had gifts that Chrissy and I had made for each of the groups at our table, and one of them was this. Do you want to show?
Yeah.
And Chris, that's our little design that Chrissy had made up a while back, I think.
We had I think about a year ago, we made this one up. But this year we took it, put it on a mug for the table mates, and then on the back we used Linda's Stitch What You Love. And we just wanted to have the date on it. So, anyways, and we're big coffee people,
Yep.
so it and it played into where we knew we were headed with FlossTube and things like that. And we knew with what we were going to do, in addition to the gift, that it would kind of all fit inside of there. Maybe a little different than yours. It's like you learn something every time you go to a retreat.
Yeah.
We learned last year that this year we needed to have vending machine money. And a lot of us don't travel with coins
or
and cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be cute. And
Uh-huh.
inside each mug, I mean, and we had cookies and we had, $2?
Yep.
Something enough for somebody could go to the vending machine
And
get something. Because it just seemed like you were spending $2.75.
Yeah, yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. But anyway, so that was part of what
that was
we did.
part.
We'll
And
show the
then
rest later.
Judy's gift to each of us at the table was her new ornament book, the 5th that just came out.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. And what's really funny is I had seen it right before we left, and I'd actually stitched one of the pieces in it
Mhm.
because the little one on the back, and I think
This
you
one,
can see
Joy.
it better, the Joy.
This is the one she had actually brought.
I had been
Yep.
at Needlework
I
Galleria and was in a class with Judy back in 2018 or something, and that was her gift for the round robin, and I had stitched it, so I took it and
Okay.
put it on the brag table
Yeah.
because I thought that was kind of neat.
She
to
did
do.
she did a nice idea with she tried to keep things from Michigan, from her area. So
Oh, yeah.
she had
Yep.
a little box of chocolates in her bag that were good and gone quite quickly.
Oh, I took some home to Gerald.
Yeah, and he found them before
And
she
he
even
found 'em.
offered.
So-
She's like, I have some chocolates for you. And he's like, what chocolates? Because he
Yeah.
already ate them. And then some amazing nuts, and they were so good. Same thing.
yeah.
I got home, and all I wanted was to finish off my bag of nuts.
I know,
I
they were
couldn't find
good.
them, and of course, Randy thought it was hysterical that I was freaking out over a bag of nuts. I'm like, you didn't see them.
They were good.
They were good.
Yeah, I kept the bag. I thought maybe about checking out.
Right? They were
Yeah.
so amazing.
And then this was from Jen, and it is so cute.
It had a pin in it, too. It had
yeah.
a bee pin, right?
Yes. And it's a little, what do they call those, salt?
This is a salt. Like they used to call them like a salt liquor, but they just call it salt. And then they would put them on, they were like cut glass, and they would put them on your table by your meal, and then you could just pull out your
And
salt.
she stitched an orange on the top of it.
And then there was like a stick pin with the, it was like, what are the pins? The
Counting pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the name because they were that, and now it's escaping me. Just Another Button Company.
Yes, there you go.
And it had the bee, like the ceramic bee.
Okay.
So it was really, really cute. And I don't think they can see it, but there's a little daisy, a little bud, orange blossom bud. But yeah, she did a great job.
And then,
on
of
that.
course, there were other things in her bags, like all kinds of goodies.
And Chris Leedy.
And Chris Leedy was our other table mate.
Yeah, she was at our table, and she stitched, which a lot of people were getting into this, but Chris Leedy made a bag full of these. And so she gave the table mates like these little bit bigger ones, and then she, of course, had to.
She had all different sizes.
Yeah, she had to give me a little mouse one. Yeah. But she stitched
a lot of them. A lot of them, yeah.
There's a bag full.
Yeah.
And she had just went to the Garan Stitchery, or Garan Retreat.
Yep.
Yes.
And so she was making them.
For those two.
Yeah, when I was at her house, she was kind of going at it. And while we're on these, there was this one too that came from, I'm going to like Carol Fawcett. And these were real sweet too.
And those are the little wooden hoops.
Hoops, yes.
Yeah.
And what the trick seems to be, now see, she backed hers with some velvet. But I liked that with the little motif there. But the trick is when you're making these, before you finish, you have to take the screw out, and then you've got to open it just carefully so it doesn't snap to put the ring in there.
Yeah.
But they're pretty popular and pretty fun. She took one of our frogs. She just was grabbing little things from all over, but I like them. I think they're kind of nice.
And then our friend Melissa made each of us little tags with our name on them with a flamingo. And Melissa's Neely's Needle Nest on Instagram. And she sat at the table next to us with a couple of our other friends from Jacksonville.
And like you said, it was nice because we were at a completely different table than our group last year.
Yep.
And I'm so glad because it just worked out perfectly.
And our friend Christy, who lives up in the Panhandle, she's from Florida. I had met her at the Jacksonville retreat last year, and she was there this year, her first StitchCon, so it was a first for her. And she made us these little pins that have StitchCon.
I took the owl.
Oh, did you? I like
she
this
had
one.
like
I'm gonna put it in my bag.
Like, yeah, a little bowl full, not bowl, but like a tray.
Yep.
She had those or the little owl, and I took
And then
my
these
owl.
were for...
We had these as part of our gifts. Team Egner, Tina wanted to have something just special just to hand out to, and so it was super sweet that she quickly shipped, like literally, she's like, I want them to have something from me too. So she quickly got this and sent it down, and we could include them in our bags. And this one's for you.
Oh, excellent. Thank
we
you.
don't want you to forget to floss, too.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So while we got the mug out, before we forget and I hand it back your way, after we made the announcement that Linda was going to join me in doing the FlossTube, and for lots of good reasons, we had decided in talking that one of the fun things was that we had decided we were going to no longer have commercials. And I love that when I'm watching FlossTubes. I don't mind it if they do. I don't mind it if they don't. It doesn't bother me either way. I'm going to watch it. However, we thought it would be, we have an idea, and I'm sure it'll evolve, and we'll include you all when it gets there. But what we would like to do and change is to, instead of commercials, we will do the Buy Me a Coffee, which I've researched, I've got. We'll make sure the link is in there, and then we would like to take that and use it. We'll gather it over time, and when the timing is right, we would like to throw it back to the community. So whether it buys a family in need a Thanksgiving meal come November, we'd like to be able to do something like that, whether it's the prevent child abuse thing and we can make an extra contribution. I just feel like we'd like to turn it back over to the community. We also thought that maybe come December or whenever it comes time for either a StitchCon or a retreat or a bare bones, maybe there's somebody that just can't afford that and we could sponsor, you know, the entry fee. So we have lots of ideas, and I'll make sure that we have the Buy Me a Coffee link down there, and it is what it is. But that's the idea we have, and then you can watch it commercial free and do as you feel, you know, that you want to do. And so we'll keep you posted, and we appreciate your thoughts going forward, and we'll let you know.
Excellent.
So cheers to that. Okay, so I guess one of the you already know all about this, I'm sure, and have seen it.
I've seen it.
Yes. He doesn't like mice.
I don't.
He just isn't a mouse guy, and he's not a green guy. We know all these things now, but leaving Stitch...
Green fabric.
Yeah, not green fabric. Yeah. Anyhow, last year not this year, but last year leaving StitchCon, I came home with COVID. Y'all know the story. A lot of us did. No big deal. But at some point when I was feverish, I blurted out, Matilda needs to drive the Stitchy bus, and we started talking about pattern, and Linda was like, oh yes, that'd be so great. And I just think it kind of kept us going for a bit. And then it evolved into, okay, if I designed it, I sent it to her, we laughed. We thought it was, you know, great and small, and we thought, well, the idea was to approach Barbara and find out if we could in any way join in her nonprofit. She calls it her outreach community. Her service project. Thank you, service project. And then we would literally, each of us would stitch it up 2 separate ways. Of course, Linda did hers 1/1 on 25 count. I did mine typical, I think it was 32 count. But either way, we created Matilda Drives the Stitchy Bus. And Barbara was, you know, very appreciative for the offer. And it was something where you could buy it in the annex, which is the store at StitchCon that's right in the convention center. And all the proceeds would go to this year's service project. So knowing how much Matilda, people seem to really like her on their retreat bags. So it worked out really great. This was the design. The end result was just something that was really hard for me to explain as far as it all coming together and seeing it and then having such great, I don't know, I mean, support, and people just loved it. But it was very, very interesting to me when all of a sudden I walked in to the sneak peek. You get to walk through the annex for 2 hours. No prices are on anything. Yep. So there's 0 prices, and you just get to look. And she was there, and that was the one time I caught Barbara, and she was kind of wondering, you know, do you have more patterns? And I said, well, we'll get them for you for weekend B. But just in that amount of traffic flow and people walking by and seeing their reaction to it, I was really, really tickled. And then to learn that the actual service project was for St. Joseph's Home, which is a home that you can learn more on, which was basically building around special needs situations. And mostly or primarily a lot was on vent, what did they call it? When you rely on a vent, and they are infants, and there are a lot of homes that just cannot support a child like that. Yep. And respite care, and that was interesting too, because, you know, respite care, even though I don't really use it, I can tell you how I would use it. I can tell you how any family in a special needs situation would use it. But I had no clue that this service project that Linda and I, a year ahead of time, were talking about what we could do to help out and raise, ended up being for special needs. And Barbara of Keepsakes, on the other hand, had no clue I had a special needs son. So when I walked in and she was a thing, and she's saying, Chris, they are freaking out. And I said, there's a table out front that shows you what that service project's going to be. And I said, if I'm reading it right, there's some special needs things out there. And she said, yes, that's what this year's is. And we both I'm like, did you know I had a son with special needs who's 23? Well, her tears started coming, and then my tears started coming, and we just, we have a firm belief that, God knew what he was doing. And so the end count that she emailed me after weekend 2 was that it sold 277 copies for both weekends, and it raised a total of $2,770. And then the great part, right? So, I mean, I'm speechless. So anyways, the great news is that if you are interested, just perchance you didn't get to StitchCon this year, but you've been in previous years, she is asked, and I absolutely said yes, she will continue to sell these through keepsakes, and then we'll continue to donate the cash as it comes in to St. Joseph's Home. So feel free that you can do that. We kitted this up for everybody at our table. So that was another part that they got as a gift. All right. Now what you want to do?
Do we want to do FFOs?
Yeah. What do you got? I know you still got some good retreat stuff. But
yeah, I've got retreat stuff. I've got whips. I've got finishes. So we can do finishes.
Well, for one thing, we didn't have any, her or I, have any finishes at StitchCon.
Okay.
No, I didn't ring the bell. Did you have a finish at your retreat?
Not at the retreat.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
we
right.
didn't. I probably was lucky if I got 30 stitches in.
Let's get rid of our 2 FFOs.
Okay, let's do that.
Just move those off
Okay.
because there's only 2. So you have yours.
Yep.
All
This
right.
is, as many of you know, if you're on Instagram, we are doing, Chrissy, I, and also Jen,
And Tina.
Sweetcast, and Tina are doing Prairie Schooler Saturday. So any Prairie Schooler, and so I don't have the book with me, but it's a mini. It's the Snowmen and Santa's book, and they're mini.
Yeah.
And I've got another one that I'm working on.
There's the
That's my FFO.
This is
my current one. This is a whip, and so it's number 2 out of that book.
Is that it?
Yep. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's the book.
I was like, isn't that the pattern right
Yep.
there?
Yep. So that's that one, and it's they're both on 28 count sage, which kind of is one of my favorites for Prairie Schooler because the colors kind of pop on it. Call for colors except for the anchor white. I tend to use anchor white instead of DMC because I think it covers better. So
1/2.
Yep. 2/2 on 28 count, both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Terry from the Old Needle
Yep.
Shop did the finishing.
Yep.
Of
And
the
she'll,
ornament.
finishing.
and
Isn't
she'll
it?
get this
Isn't that
one
perfect?
too. Yeah.
I just love that.
So I have 2 other finishes, but they're both with Terry. I finished the nautical tier that Deb from Snug Harbor Crafts and I were doing a sal on.
Yeah.
We never got to hook. I mean, we got to chat kind of, but I never got to really go over and see her or share our pictures. But Terry has that one, and she also has my one that I thought I was going to finish at StitchCon, which was the Seaside Tiny Town.
You mailed her that one, right?
I mailed her both of those, so she'll be
Okay.
finishing both of those for me.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So those were finishes, but not FFOs
All
yet.
right, and this is my Prairie Schooler
Yeah.
finish, which I've shared a picture on Instagram, but that is the Nativity from the Christmas Traditions Prairie Schooler. So, and he was just, it was just super fun to stitch. Really, really
It looks
fun.
great.
Yeah,
Thank
it does
you.
look good.
I wasn't too sure how I felt. I mean, I usually do the black frames, but I
I
wasn't
that one.
too sure how I felt, but I really like the
Yeah.
red and the gold together, especially on this one.
Yep.
So, and of course it's your favorite, the 28 count water lily.
Water.
Nice. But
It looks good.
yeah, I like it. I like it all together. I had that water lily from a different pattern, and I was like, you know what, this works. It's nice to use something from your stash that, All right, whips.
Well,
think he's
Or you got finishes.
I don't
You
have
have
I
FOs.
don't have a fully finished. I just have a finish, and so
Yeah, good one.
I finished. It's called Patchwork, home and patchwork. Here on the front of a Heart Remembers, and so our friend Ann and I started this together, and so I finished this on 36 count fiber on a whim, and then this is fiber on a whim parchment, and then latte, affogato, cappuccino, and cafe au lait. And so this is my finish. So when I was here back in February, I had only started it, but finished it all the way across.
And Ann's is all on one solid
Yep,
piece.
Ann's is all on one. I did change the verse, and so it was originally supposed to say, "I cannot count my day complete till thread, fabric, thread they meet." I changed it to "In the garden," the hymn "In the garden." I originally, because it's a nice garden. It's a nice garden scene, and so I was going to do the first verse because it's I come to the garden alone, and then I thought about doing the refrain because the refrain is my favorite hymn-based joke.
Yeah,
have you ever heard it? What is God's first name? It's Andy. And he walks with me, and he talks with me. So yeah, Andy.
All right,
yeah.
I have never heard that. I'll be singing that all day
so,
now, though.
But then I did all of the birds in the first 2 panels, and it's like, no, what I really need to do is the beginning of the second verse, and so it says, he speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and so. So that I finished that, and I was able to share it at Country Sampler and show it to Elma. So that was.
I loved your picture.
Oh, I love the
Elma.
picture of you and Elma. That was
love
great.
that.
So.
Can we insert that here in the picture?
Yeah,
at
that's
the
fine.
end somewhere.
Yeah. So I got to
that.
share that with the group as well. So that was my only finish in the last. Well, I finished all the stuff for the retreat, but that's my only.
That was a lot.
Finish.
That was a lot.
So.
Do you know? Are you gonna go get that frame now? Now that you've shared it everywhere, like.
I don't know yet. I've got that was asked at the group. Are you gonna frame it? And it's like, well, it's probably gonna sit in the drawer for a while.
For a bit.
Yeah. Well, so
we all have to recoup our budgets.
Well, no, because I've got Oh Joyous Day.
Oh, yeah.
I have finished, and it's sitting in there. Summer's Jubilee.
Right.
Is just
so which one
sitting.
do you?
Yeah. Priority. Prioritize. Yeah.
I know people tend to give you Christmas gift cards, so maybe that's about when.
I did last year, so that's definitely going to be on my Christmas list again this year. So.
All right.
So that's my finish.
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to talk about the Sal? Okay. I didn't bring my box from last year, but I'd shown it enough. But anyways.
Yeah, I think we did, and we showed it. But last year at StitchCon, Sue Hillis did a design, and I didn't bring mine, I started to say. But the goal was we started a Sal, weekend A and weekend B, of course. And so this year, everyone brought their pieces to show to put on the brag table, and we have pictures that are.
I'll make sure he puts a picture in.
A picture of all of us, a design. This year, Sue did another design, and this is the design she did this year, and love it. So Erla, Ice Stitcher, came over, and she was, of course, one of the originals for this year, or last year's retreat, and then so we all decided this would be the new Sal. So we'd finish it and then bring it next year to StitchCon and show our pieces. And they had it finished in a box, similar to this box, and inserted. I bought the box. I'm not real sure. I've already decided I'm probably going to change the bike to blue because my bike is blue. And I'm thinking I might stitch it smaller, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet. So.
And I love they have the Keepsakes Cat 310 is in the basket, which we all know cats still floss. Oh, do we want to talk about your cats?
Oh, no.
So when
you heard this story?
I'd seen this before. I've seen others with this pattern, but the bike basket is full of sewing notes.
And look at the one falling
off. So it's got
off.
the little tomato and the skeins of DMC and the fabric.
Sue,
that's an awesome.
She's like the queen of
details.
details.
She's the queen. She's just a phenomenal designer.
And they had all these others.
Yes, they did.
Maybe minus one, but they had. There's like a whole series.
Yeah, and I think they're not all out yet, but maybe some of them are coming out. So yeah, it's a series.
I think you should get Anne stitching this one since she likes the bees.
Oh yeah.
But I like the black bike But now, okay, so that's yours.
Yep.
I actually have a start on mine.
she started it.
Yeah, and I decided this time that I wanted to do something a little bit different, make it a little bit easier on myself. When you look at the cover, you can't tell that that's actually a little bit variegated, that she changes the colors in there.
Yeah, she uses 2 or 3
She
reds.
does a little bit more. So this time I decided for all that red and for the bike, I wasn't going to worry about that. I was going to do a little bit more on my own. And so I am using Weeks Dye Works Candy Apple Red, because who doesn't want a Candy Apple Red bike, right? So this is where I'm at.
She wants a blue one.
She does, right? Linda, how many? Oh, right there. So, and this is, I wanted something a little bit stiffer for this because of the finish. So it's 18 count vintage country mocha.
Oh, okay.
I'm using 1 thread, which I rarely do, so that's new. But I'm liking it. Now, we took out, we were doing a consult, because the original idea we had was these boxes. I'll go through the rest in a minute. Last year, I left and I didn't get a box. And I was like, you know how you have that one thing when you walk out anywhere, a mall, and you're like, oh, I should have got that.
I've got the exact same
right?
thing to show you. So
okay, so I like literally, I was not leaving without a box. I didn't care what size it was.
The first thing she came back with.
I'm like, I want the box. So originally, Sweet Chaos Stitcher and I were going to do this, and she would have her first one for this year, and we were going to do it on a 36 count, and we thought it could fit inside this side box, and we'd poof it up and all that kind of jazz, and I liked that because last year I did the kind of like the suitcasey treasure box. Really and then Judy Whitman had said the way to make that possibly work would be to scrunch some of this together. You could make it work down here, but up in here you would need to move it together. Mm-hmm. So I took out the X and I started doing that, and at this point I did not realize that it also meant we needed to remove some from like the T's, some of the straighter ones, and push it together. Okay. So at this point it is not going to fit in this box because my N, I know for a fact, is going to be over there. You went to Stitchco? I went to Stitchco. So I've now considered moving on to the bigger box. And originally we thought about that, but we were going to break it apart and put StitchCon in here. Right. And that. So Chris doesn't know what she's doing now. We just are happy to have the boxes that we didn't get last year. Mm-hmm. So we shall see. But I do like my fabric. I'm enjoying using. I got some Ada a few weeks back, and it's been kind of nice just to have some for me, some quick stitching, and something like this. I learned from Terry at the Old Needle Shop. Sometimes when you use the Ada like this, it makes for better, stronger finishing for stand-ups. If you kind of don't know what you want to do, they're a drum. They line up. So I kind of have been listening to that.
You can be taught.
Yeah, I can be taught a little bit. Thank you. So anyways, but I like the red, and that's a small start. So that is a sal, and we announced it. Yeah, I was just going to say the hashtag is StitchCon 2024 sal, right?
I think so,
because last year we just made it simple.
Right.
There also is a Matilda bus sal.
Yeah.
It's just hashtag Matilda bus sal. There aren't any dates for finishing this. For those, if you are doing the bike and you're coming to, if we get into weekend day, that's usually what we ask for. Bring it with, and we'll grab a picture because that really was.
And maybe what
really
I'll do is
fun.
I will make a separate post on Instagram showing the pattern and the hashtag and stuff just to remind.
We need to.
Very good.
Okay. All right. I say you're up next.
Works in progress?
Yeah, let's do it. You got whips too, right?
I got whips too.
Yep, good.
The last time I was on was February, so just a quick update on the works in progresses that I've been working on. First one is Let Love Rain, and this is probably the work in progress that I've made the most progress on.
Look at he has, because I haven't seen it in a while.
Look at
that. My gosh.
So so what I've done since February is I finished that band and did a little bit more of the house. So to move to the next band. So this is Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut, I am stitching it on Seraphim Fabrics 40 count prairie grass using the called for threads, except for I'm using Gentle Arts coffee bean instead of the recommended mascara. So that's, yeah, this is going to be, moving forward, this is going to be my big push, is to get this.
Yeah, that's you've
this
gotten a
done.
lot done on that since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Did you say you changed the blue? I can't remember. I so want to get
No,
this
the
started.
blue, the blue is
just,
the, it is the
the
called
okay.
for blue.
All right.
There's only one blue, and it is DMC
Isn't that
926. Sorry
That
for the mess,
is
but that's,
gorgeous.
yeah, so
All
there
right,
it is.
I gotta
Lots of
start
blues,
this.
greens, tans.
I gotta start it.
Those blues are gorgeous.
Blue, just
Really?
blue.
Just and
Just
that
one-
I
and
think
it
that's what
just
I remembered
pops.
you saying. It was just one blue. You were thinking there's
Yeah.
probably more than
Yeah,
one,
because
but
it
it's
Yeah,
looks
just
like
because
that in
that
some
one.
cases, it looks like there's places where it's multiple.
Yeah,
But it's-
because like you look at the full piece, and it's the house
Yeah,
and the jacket
that's what I was looking
and
at.
the basket, and it's up here in the birds, and down here in the flowers. I was expecting it to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multi.
2 to 3
Yeah.
at least. So when I pulled and it was one, and it's Teresa does a great job of doing DMC, but then she'll mix in some overdyes, because like the grass and the vines are Weeks Dye Works Oscar, just so that way when you
Okay.
do the leaves and the grass, you get a little bit of variability, but in that small areas, it's just DMC. So that's my first one, my first work in progress. Let
That's
Love Rain.
gorgeous. Ugh.
All right.
Yeah, I would say that would be a great push to get done.
Yeah. The second work in progress is my New Year's Day start, Ragamuffin 2 by Shakespeare's Peddler. I finished
Oh, look at you doing that
two more motifs on this, and some more alphabet. Actually,
That-
You can
so
drop it.
You can drop it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
fine. Yeah, and so that's Ragamuffin 2.
Eyelet stitches.
Yeah, well,
in there?
8-legged eyelet stitches.
Oh, 8-legged.
So the country sampler, they have this stitched as a model on the wall, and it's like, there it is.
Hold it.
That's the reason why I wanted it. And to see it again this year, it's like, okay, gotta finish this one soon too. So
Yeah, that is really
Ragamuffin
pretty.
2. What were you pointing at?
I didn't. Those.
Oh,
I
the
could tell they
eyelets.
were. Yeah, the eyelets.
Yeah, I did not want to take the time to do 16.
Are you gonna
Legged
do? Are you gonna change anything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
one of the other reasons I didn't make as much progress on this is because I took the time to lay out some initials.
Okay.
So I'm going to use church elders
That's right.
from the church that I grew up
That's
on.
right.
So I settled
like
on
that.
doing the elders, and so
Yeah.
I'm going to put the initials for the church and the year that the church was founded in
I
that
love that.
cartouche in the middle.
I love that.
So that's work in progress number 2. The third one that I worked on was The Winter is Past by Blackbird Designs.
You got everybody doing this. When you were
No,
on last
it's-
time, everybody
A lot
was
of people
like,
are doing it. before.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is, this was my Christmas Day start, and so this is on, picture this plus 36 count oaken. What I find very interesting is a lot of people are using the oaken and just how different it is.
It's so
it
different.
photographs
It's so
differently in
different.
everybody's, and mine seems to be a little bit darker than others.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
And some of it is
I
very
absolutely love
pink.
it.
Some
Yeah.
of it is much pinker.
yeah, and so this is The Winter is Past by Blackbird Designs. So that's, yeah. So when the week before I left for the retreat, I looked at all of my works in progresses, and this Winter is Past is my smallest work in progress.
Wow.
Mhm.
And it's it's 160 by 175. So that was my smallest, and I'm like, I've got to have something small. I've got to have something with just blocks of color, so that way I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
work on it. And
Oh,
so what I chose was Deck the Coop by
Which I
Stacy
love.
Nash Primitives.
Yes.
No one does a chicken better than Stacy Nash.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
sorry, I know you've got
That's
chickens.
all right. But I mean, seriously, they're awesome.
Yeah, and so this is the.
Oh
I did as much of
gosh.
the border as I
Really?
could, so that way I could get to this lady with her dress and the cape. So that way I could work on dress and cape. You want to know how much of this I worked on at the retreat? 0.
Yeah.
0.
Now
And-
you
and-
know.
Well, but the thing is though, is that when we came back from breakfast on the very first day, they had laid out the patterns for the first
Oh.
speaker.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I've got a retreat gift. I'm going to stitch my retreat gift.
Mhm.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm going to show you later.
Yeah.
Is what I worked on
Looks
at the retreat.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, is
but
that the
that's-
one with there was a little clerical
No.
thing?
So
Not that one?
this is from last year's
Okay.
retreat.
Okay.
So that was good. The one thing that I will say is that so I had it was a late night, and it's like, okay, I need to get something for the retreat, and so all of this was stitched from stash. I did
Mhm.
not have Schneckly.
Oh,
in-
yeah.
I did not have Schneckly in stash.
Yeah.
So what I'm using is Work Weeks Dye Works chickpea.
Chickpea.
So it's a little bit brighter, but
I like it.
I think it looks
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So,
There's a couple things we forgot. You forgot to show.
Oh,
me.
yes, we will. For sure. We have
I
our
don't know
both.
if you want to do that.
Yeah, well, we'll.
And I also had a finish I forgot to show.
You did?
Yeah.
What the heck? Well, you show your finish first,
And I
so we
probably
don't forget it
need a
again.
little help with this one.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, this we're going for.
how'd you forget this?
I know,
don't
right?
know.
I mean, come on.
Get with the
Good
sun.
grief.
Yeah. It is Santa Stops Here by With Thy Needle and Thread. And I finished it a while back, and I just got it back from the framer just before we went to StitchCon. So it went to StitchCon with me on the brag table, along with my Live on Little, which I did not bring. It was a little too big to bring, but I told Chrissy that when we film at my house next time, it'll be up on the wall behind us so you can see it. But I loved every stitch of this, and our framer, Pam, does a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I like the mat.
The mat
Right.
is, she knows that I don't like, I don't know how to call it, a lot of frou-frou. I just want something that sets it off, and this just kind of set
Yep.
it off. So it was a fun stitch. It was a sal that we had here at Brick City, so yeah.
That's great.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
I have to admit,
Are you gonna?
there was two things. Well, we'll do ours, whatever. But there was, you know, did y'all have a brag table? Do they
We
do
did
that?
not. No.
Okay, so at StitchCon they do the brag table
Yep.
And it
the
was
freebies.
twice as big as last
was
year's, I
huge.
think.
But I will say the one that I died over.
Marcy's.
Oh my gosh, was the Prairie Schooler alphabet.
Mm.
Is it Martha?
Marcy, my
Marcy
friend Marcy
Thiessen.
Thiessen, who I
Yeah.
originally met years ago at the Silver Needle Retreat. And she and I've tried to hook up for years after that, and there's always been something missing. But she
Yeah.
came to StitchCon this year,
And she
and
brought,
she brought her Prairie Schooler, and it is
It's-
phenomenal.
I feel like it was almost the size of this table,
Yeah.
but it was breathtaking.
Yep.
Just absolutely breathtaking. And there was tons of things that were gorgeous, but I will say the two that to me jumped out from where we were sitting at, because where our table is, we can kind of see
the whole
most of the
Okay.
brag
Yeah, we're
table.
around
We're
three
not too
walls,
far
yeah.
back. Was Linda's Live on Little. Again, it's just, you can't miss it. Like, you can't miss it, and it is just absolutely stunning. And I just loved that Prairie Schooler. I
Yeah.
mean, there's lots of great pieces
Oh,
out
there were
there.
tons.
But yeah, and then, okay, so,
When we walked in,
yeah, when we walked in,
At midnight.
we had, I talk a lot about Tammy Blaylock, Creative Country Girl, and her project bags. And I had ordered Linda for Christmas last year a retreat bag.
Mm-hmm.
And so she showed up and she had messaged. They were hoping we'd get to go to dinner, but we were still stuck in Kentucky. So,
yeah, Arby's.
right. So, anyway, she says, well, I've left you something at the front at the concierge. Just make sure to grab it. And
Okay.
this is what she'd left. And she made me my table mat, the stitching mat, which out of the Blackbird stuff here. And then so she coordinated. So now I've got my matchy thing going on at retreats. And I mean, they're phenomenally made. Yeah. And so I absolutely loved it. And so this goes over your little suitcase. But I was going to share also that she has officially retired. Oh, wow. She's had quite the year, and she's doing great, and she's finally retired, so she can do this on more of a full-time basis. And I don't know if you saw, but I watched her come in the first day.
So when you said she was retired, I thought you meant she was retired from sewing and finishing.
Oh no, she worked in I'm like, the school district.
Wow. Then you've got something really special. The last bag. No.
I may as well show mine because this is mine that she did for me.
She's all about the aquas.
Yeah,
and
I
the
love
black.
the blues, and she knows in the black. So my little Matilda drives a stitchy bus in black is going to fit real cute on here eventually.
And
she does a great job.
Sweet Chaos Stitcher had hers. I don't know how Tammy seems to peg your personality in your bags, but even Jen's is it's just like her. But anyway, so she's retired from the school district where she works. And I've seen a sneak peek of her next bag, and I don't know that you'd call it a retreat bag, but it's an open bag.
Oh, okay.
And oh my gosh, I was like, what the heck is that? And she's like, well, it's the future of it's the future. I'm like, oh my gosh. Come on, girl. So glad you're retired. So, I mean, really good. Check her out. And it was such a sweet surprise. So now we all have our Creative Country Girl retreat bags. I got whips.
Yeah, I only
Did we
have
forget
a couple.
any? So you got your finish, you got your thing. All right.
That's all my works in progresses.
All right. So my whips are, I will say the minute I got home from StitchCon, I pushed on. I finally finished my second retreat piece for the Great Lakes Stitchers Gathering in Michigan. I'm super excited. I will say I was really nervous about the big one, like all of it. I was just nervous, and now that it's all come together, I really, really like it. And then the second one I got done because I knew when I got back I wanted to push for that. So anyways, I'm getting really excited for that in September. And I'll make sure to share some information at the end on that just in case you're local and want to register. But anyways, we started a little House Needleworks Memorial Day stitch, and I picked for Freedoms. I had it kitted. It came as a kit on eBay. So I had a second, and I gave my second to Jennifer so she could stitch it too. And so I can't tell you what the fabric is, but this is as far as I got. I started on the bottom and using one thread again. So I think that's 36 or 32.
It looks like 36.
I feel like I'm stitching on 36. Yeah. But.
And I joined in, and I'm doing a little house too, and this is the one that I'm doing. And then that's actually their first book, Little House Needleworks' first book. Yeah.
This is?
Uh-huh. I think it's from 2003 or 2004.
Oh, how wonderful. That's kind of cool.
I've kind of really stitched a lot on this. In fact, I've had a hard time putting it down.
Is this the bag?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you went to, that looks good.
Doesn't that look good? So hopefully I'll be working on the flag that goes across the top and then the words. And but I love it.
I'm trying to remember what you had at StitchCon, but it wasn't much of that.
Yeah, I worked on it a lot after StitchCon. That was before the cats.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a great time to just at least, Linda got 2 new cats. She was going to just adopt one. She thought two is better than one, and now she's not sleeping.
And I couldn't let the other one go without getting the other one. It's been a while since we've had a cat in the family. They're 2 years old. They're boys. I haven't got much sleep the last couple of nights, but it's going good. And they've been introduced to Shelby, our dog, and that took a little bit. But he's now. But this morning, I will have to say, this morning, I thought this is really good. They slept all night. Except at 5:30 in the morning, they woke up, and it was like a herd of buffalo running through the house.
I love this. I love every minute of this.
And yeah, it's it's been a while, so
Yeah.
it takes some getting used
But
to
you
again.
said then they were sleeping at
Then
your
they slept.
feet.
Oh, and then I had to fall back asleep because I was exhausted. So I fell back asleep, and I looked down when I woke up, and they were both at my feet asleep.
It'll
So
get
Goodness.
it'll get there.
It'll get there.
Get there. But
anyway,
BOGO.
Anyway, they
she
are
did the BOGO cat deal.
yeah, they are Oscar
That's not
and
good.
Oliver. They're
Yeah.
2 yellow
Yes,
cats.
Oscar and Oliver,
Yeah.
which I love. Okay,
Oh,
so,
and there's a story behind this too.
so I'll let you talk. This is what I took and worked on at StitchCon because I knew there was going to be a lot of chit-chatting. I learned a lot of getting up and walking around, and a lot of shopping. So I thought, what is better than a large prairie schooler? So originally I started with the first guy who I lent out, gifted the pattern of the first Santa that I did.
So you only did 2012, not both of these. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
this is my next guy. So what I did was first I stitched this guy. And I used, again, I had the fabric and was like, okay, what do I have prairie schoolers? And it's called what, Davos?
Yes. Yep.
Davos?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I had this Davos. And I told Linda, wow, this guy's really big.
I kept saying,
And,
I stitched one, and it's on a box, and she kept telling me how
and
big
she
it was.
sends
I'm
me the
going,
picture. She's
I
like,
sent her a
just put
picture
it
of
on
my
the box. I'm like,
box.
mine's huge.
And
so
then,
Because
and then,
that is 10 inches tall.
and then she
At
said,
least.
you.
At
and
least, just
then-
for scale. That's 10.
she says
Easily.
she sends me a picture of it
Here's
draped
the
over the
ruler.
sewing machine, and I'm going, did you stitch that over 2? And she went, yeah.
I decided, I knew that they said 6 threads on the Davos. I remembered that.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm going to do a little more primitively and I'll do 3. And I liked the look, but it was so funny because sometimes the picture, you don't get a good picture of it for Instagram
And you
because
can't
it just,
tell for size on
Uh-uh.
Instagram.
right. So anyways, this guy came first and then I loved him so much. And
Oh, he
she's,
looks
I was like,
wonderful.
was I supposed to stitch it 1 over? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, he's really big. So then I decided, okay, I love him. I don't care. I'm
No,
going with
yeah.
it. And I decided I was going to do 3 across.
Mhm.
So at StitchCon, I worked on this guy here, the second one. And the only thing missing on him is the candy cane. And for the most part, I'm using the newer Prairie Schooler colors. So the 3777 for the red, and I picked my own green. I mean, it's just really easy. We've been doing so many that I just have a Prairie Schooler bag.
Yeah, collection.
How much floss are you using for
Well,
a single Santa? I mean, it's
Using
going to be a
Not-
skein
it's-
for one
Oh,
Santa.
for one
Yeah,
Santa.
not
I don't
yeah.
know,
I've got
but
a couple of reds.
but
They don't
she-
look very pretty.
She messaged me and she said, "Do you have any 3777?
Yeah.
Can you bring it with you?" I said, "Yeah."
And then Christy Jenks,
yeah,
whatever.
Christy,
She which she has a new YouTube channel.
Yes, she
or a
does.
new name on her YouTube channel. Pine.
Oh, on Pine something.
All right, we will link it
We'll
for you,
link it,
Christy.
yeah.
Either way, she's existing FlossTuber.
She's stitching
has a
with us.
farm and
Yeah.
she's
Mhm.
stitching with us. And so we all figured since we were there Saturday for Prairie Schooler Saturday, we stitched. So anyways, it was fun that she joined us. So
Yep.
the second guy, I only had like a little bit done when we were there, and I was able to fly because of
And
course.
that's-
So,
That's
and
the 2012 Santa.
yes, and then the third one
Is
is
the 2000.
Yeah. So that way he'll face
Yep.
the other direction. He'll face
Yep.
going in. And then that's where I'll stop.
It looks cool, all 3 of them together.
just-
it really
It
does.
will.
It's going to be neat.
Yeah.
Frame.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
took off on the 2 of the 2 outside, I think. The 2000 and this was a 2002, I can tell you, are I was originally collecting these for my kids' birthdays. For all the kids. So the 2 are Olivia and Philip's birthdays. I hadn't planned on. I liked this guy with the Dear Santa and then the Good Boys and Girls. I took off whatever that is.
Yeah, we don't know.
I didn't care for
Yeah.
that. I got the letter, but whatever Santa had next to this, Dear Santa, I was good. I think it's their toy list or what. I didn't care for that. So I just, I'm already doing everything else
Oh.
the way I want. See how it says doll
Yeah.
and drum, but
It says,
it looks like it says dome.
What?
Something.
no,
I
no,
don't like
no,
it.
no. What's funny is like, I read it and I'm like, doldrum,
Right, that's exactly what I mean.
but then it's a
like,
doll.
right,
I was reading it as DULL.
right,
Like
I
your
heard-
doldrums.
right,
And it's like,
well,
Well,
anyway.
it was like the dude
Yes.
who cut off the back of the sled
Yep.
on the other one.
yeah,
anyway.
it just, he had to go.
Yeah.
He had to go. So that's that.
And then Sunday.
And Sunday is Brenda Gervais Day. So
Yep.
the hashtag is with thy needle Sunday.
No,
No.
Sunday with thy needle.
Oh, Sunday with thy needle.
Yeah, Sunday
Thank
with
you.
it. 'Cause I
Sunday
think
with
he's
thy
joined
needle.
us.
Yeah.
No.
Joining
No,
us?
he
Yeah,
didn't.
I thought you were.
That's my July plans.
Okay.
Okay, July. All right, we were waiting till we got back from StitchCon.
Mhm.
You have yours picked.
Mhm.
When Sweet Chaos Stitcher and I decided we wanted to do, I needed to do more Brenda Gervais. I wanted to do Boo, but it's called Scary Mouse. And we picked our fabric we thought it'd be fun if we picked everything up at StitchCon. So we picked our fabric.
Oh, I like that fabric.
And I don't know what it is because we shared it.
Yeah.
And cut it off.
Kinda
Right?
got some-
I know.
it's
But
kinda
I can
got
tell
some
you
green
it's
in it.
30.
You're a
But be proud
FlossTuber.
of
You're
me.
supposed
I
to be
know.
recording these things down.
I know, but she snipped it right there, and I can look to the text. Anyhow, if you want, look on my Instagram page. It'll tell you what it is. Anyhow, but it's 36 again. Aren't you proud? And one strand. It's beautiful green. That's what you need. It's like a grayish green.
Yeah.
Kind of. But anyways, I got
It
the
is
blue
beautiful
going.
fabric.
Yeah. So I stitched this watching.
Is it the recommended fabric?
No.
Okay.
No. We just something we picked on the fabric table and liked the color. But we did there you can only buy fat quarter or
Or
yard. Yeah,
halves,
to
yep.
make it easy. So we're just and we'd already picked a different one. So anyways, this is my Sunday with thy needle. And
I have a Sunday with thy needle. Want me to do that before you?
yeah, but I wanted to show my bag and then he can put it away.
Oh.
So we love Cricklewood project bags.
Mhm.
Dot Goose for I like my Dot Goose for the smaller projects, but Cricklewood
Yeah,
Jennifer
Jen does it.
had these with the witchies, and anyways, I was showing Linda and she surprised me. So when Jennifer got there, she had a gift and she said, "Happy early birthday." It's
Yep.
not my birthday anytime soon. But that's what friends do, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, that's what she's in. I love that. All right, you go with your Brenda
My
Gervais.
Brenda Gervais. I've actually stitched 2 in this same book.
Is it on the front?
Yeah, it's on the front, and I'm stitching summer, and there's not a lot to show. So, actually, let's see.
Really?
This way. That's
Really?
all.
Really? For her?
That's all I've got.
Yeah.
I did choose a different. This is Fieldstone by
That's a
Color and
pretty
Cotton,
blue.
which I thought was going to be pretty, and I thought it would look kind of cool on the blue with all of
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the
okay,
reds
I
and
see
the
it
blues. And it's going to look. Now this is my autumn, or I'm sorry, my winter that I finished, and it's going to look similar because I'm going to use the alphabet on the bottom, like I did with the winter and the autumn.
You're going to
so-
stitch
I've
it?
got the alphabet. We found a free alphabet, and
This
it
is-
fits perfectly on the bottom instead of the little tag that they
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
So
Did you do this one?
I did
Okay.
autumn
Okay, you did
and
fall
win-
and winter.
and winter.
Okay,
Yeah,
now
the
you
only
And you're
do
ones
working
that
on summer.
I'm working on.
Well, you
summer.
might as well do the other one then,
Yeah, I
too.
know. I probably will.
You're going to finish them in the same way, you think?
Probably, yeah, because the other autumn is finished just like that one.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, and then
Okay.
my last one is an easy one, but we have another sale that is through Brick City Stitchers,
Mhm.
and that is the hashtag Your
Your
Tiny
Tiny
Town. And I wanted to do the Halloween one, and is this murky? No, I have a tag. It is Picture This plus Vellum.
You're such a turkey.
That's why we just all go together. Anyways, I have a little start, and I'm using this. This Ada is really soft.
It looks.
I
it.
like Picture This plus Ada,
Yeah.
but this is where I'm at right now. So I got a little bit of a start going.
Yeah, and this was with Brick City, and it was for any of the tiny towns. I
Mhm.
chose Seaside, and that's the one that's getting finished right now.
Yeah,
But we have people stitching Christmas, any of them, so it's been kind of
thought it
cool to
was-
see all the versions.
I thought it was so interesting that she used this pink for a pumpkin. But I mean, it just everything works, and it's my first tiny town, so I'm
Mine too.
excited about that. And I used again because I know I want to do the drum. I think you're doing a flat fold.
Yep.
I know I want to do a drum, so I used the Ada, thinking, okay. So that is it.
So what I'm talking
with that. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. All right.
Okay, we covered grips. We
Phew.
covered, oh, gift.
You want to do?
Oh.
Yeah, Happy Mail.
Yes, and
All right.
my bag. I was very fortunate. Last March on Instagram, there was the Common Threaded Stitcher, and I participated every day. I've done it probably as long as they've been doing it. I always love it. I get to meet other people, and I actually ended up winning a bag from Kia B, and it's very similar to our StitchCon bag.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't realize, she and I met, she was there, and she gave me, I had told her just to bring it to StitchCon, and I didn't realize it until I sat down at the table, there are all kinds of goodies in it. And one of the goodies was...
Didn't open it.
How is the first thing you don't do is open it to look at like
it's-
the pocket,
I-
saying what the
well,
lining is?
I know.
And
She was so
I
funny. She goes,
I got back to
"Hey,
the
there's
table.
stuff in here." That's exactly what she did. Hey.
Well, inside of it was this gorgeous chart from Liz Matthews, and Liz was there, so I got her to sign up for me.
oh, that's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. And in addition,
Oh,
there were
dear, bless
all
your smelly
kinds
things over
of silks from Be Stitch Me Silks,
Mhm.
and a little thing with fabric.
Little-
There's several different things of fabric.
Cute little
A little
project.
bag.
A
and-
little bag, and just a bunch of silks from Be Stitch
These are
Me.
super soft.
Oh, so it was really, really sweet. And,
Did
and I
this
messaged
fabric,
her.
was this
That's
in there?
another
willow.
color and cotton.
Cotton willow.
Yeah.
Springy colors.
Yeah, beautiful. So I messaged Kia later and told her thank you very much. I didn't realize all that was in there, and it was very, very, very sweet. So thank you, Kia, again. And it was wonderful to get to meet with you and chat with you.
Have you
And the only other thing I have is I actually had Happy Mail.
Yes, you did.
And our friend Tina, Team Egner, had messaged me and said, Linda, I used to live down by the shore in New Jersey, and I had this piece up on my wall. And she said, I don't have it up anymore, but I'd love to send it to you. She says, please don't look at the back of it. I had to
Okay.
take it apart. She said, would you like it? And I said, of course, I would love it. So she sent me this. And again, we're not going to look at the back.
I'll see you in the back.
But I remember this from years ago. It's a beautiful piece. So I told her, absolutely, I'm going to get it framed. I even have kind of a frame in mind
Mm-hmm.
for it, and it'll go up on my beach.
I love
wall.
that seahorse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We call it #Vintage Tina.
Oh, is that what it is?
Well, we all have those pieces
Oh, yeah,
that we
stitched on
stitched,
14
and
count.
she said, there was a time when they were building their house, and so she's like, you just know what you were going through in your life
Yep.
at that time. You might not remember the year,
Yeah.
but you know exactly what you were going through, during that time. And then she
then she
had
sent-
some, she sent, which I have some too. I haven't done Live on Little, but I'm not usually nautical in nature the way Linda is, but I thought it would be fun to have her new floss tags, nautical ones, for
And
when I do Live on Little, and
She's
you always
funny.
do
She
nautical.
sent me some as well, but she didn't put holes in them because she knows that I don't use floss cards.
Mm.
But what I do use is I will put them on a ring
Right,
like that,
right.
with a bling on it. So
Yeah, I love it now that
With the
she's
little
added
turtle.
the charms and everything. So
thanks, Tina. I mean, I
Yes.
love it.
super sweet,
Yeah.
super sweet.
All right.
She had sent me, she had gifted me a patriotic one.
Oh.
But anyways, so I'll get it, when I get it framed, which I kind of feel like this might be the perfect, it's long and skinny, but it's
Yeah.
one of the angels, like patriotic, angels. So
Okay.
anyways,
Where are we at?
so sweet. Oh, you want to go through haul, what you bought? Because I'm kind of down to just a little bit here.
I have
So
no haul.
I'm not going to go
You got
through.
no haul?
I have no haul.
Okay.
I did, this is not haul that I bought. This is
Yes.
so at the Country Sampler summer camp, there were 3 designers, and so I'm just going to go through the projects that the designers gave us as part of the Stitch Camp. So just as a fun story to begin with, the very first night was on Thursday. And I knew that a lot of folks were going to be showing up ahead of time so that way they could go to the shop, do a little bit of shopping before everything was gone. And so I visited the Country Sampler last year. and fell in love with a pillow that uses this design, Songbird Sampler, and they have it as a pillow, but they made a conversion so that way it's got well, here's what it looks like. It's got more of a tan colored fabric, and then muted the colors, and so that's the conversion. They did not have any kits available, and so they're like, if we can take the time to kit it, and I'm like, no, I can kit a project. I love kitting a project.
Oh yeah.
And so,
No.
yeah. So I didn't want. Anyways, so it's Thursday. It's madness, just madness. And so here I am. I'm kitting my project because I saw it last year. This is, you talked about the ruler box.
Mm-hmm.
This was the one thing that absolutely had to be in my suitcase coming home.
Right.
So I picked my colors in order to kit it. And one of the reds that was in the cardinal I didn't like. I didn't like the current dialog of that red. So I started to choose my own red. And Linda and Chrissy have both themed the way I do my, I lay out a whole bunch of colors and I'm looking at them, and so dinner was going to start at 5:30, and so the welcome welcome dinner, and so it's like 5:15, and I'm still looking at all my reds. It's like I need the perfect red. So this very sweet lady looks over my shoulder and she's like, "Oh, what are you kidding?" And I'm like, "Well, I had the pillow right there so that way I could look at everything." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm, trying to select the perfect red for my cardinal." And she's like, "Well, if you want my opinion," and I'm like, "I'll take any opinion."
Right.
And so she's like, "Well, I think you should use this red." And it's like, "Well, this is why I didn't choose that." She's like, "Well, that's an excellent point. What other colors are you using?" And so all of a sudden I'm like, I need this one, a Carolina Cecil. That's the red I need. And I lay it down and she's like, that's your red. So I made my purchase. I went to dinner, and Jeannie Horton is the owner of the shop. She was introducing all of the teachers for the weekend, and she's like, "This is Alma Ellen from Blackbird Designs," and then we're going to have Kimberly Nugent. And Kimberly stands up, and it was the lady who helped me pick out my red.
Oh, geez.
I'd seen her designs before, but I'd never seen her, the person. And so,
how cool is that?
So that's my awesome first story, was
That's
that she helped
awesome.
me pick out the reds from my cardinal. And then also
cool.
at the dinner, they introduced the final designer was Stacy Nash.
Love
From
that.
Stacy Nash
Those
Designs.
colors are gorgeous. I would have not picked that up if I hadn't seen it.
Oh, that
at
pillow.
all.
They had that pillow, and right beside the pillow was the basket with the patterns and the kits, and it was amazing.
Wow.
So our first designer Friday morning was Blackbird Designs, and she brought her antique sampler that she based all of her designs on. And so the first design is called Every Bloom is Charmed, and so it's a box topper. So you stitch the top, and so we were given the fabric, the threads, and we were also given
I was going to say.
the box.
Oh,
and
very
so
cool.
that pattern,
Goes on.
so that pattern goes on top of the box. So we got that box, and then along with the box, we also got we got a bird cage.
Look at that! Oh, and you stitched it already.
And then and so I chose.
I'm like flabbergasted.
Yeah, and so I so on Friday I started the
So that's what you started there.
Yeah, I started it there, and this is the only thing I stitch on during all of the presentation. Instead of the
anything
deck
else,
the coop, I stitch on this. And so this bird is from the antique, and so you make it into this little drum. The one thing that I will say to those who, this is going to be released in a year. Yeah. But to those who are there, if you've got the pattern, this little flower here is supposed to be all sandcastle. But one of the things that I loved about the antique was the blue flowers. So I changed it to be the blue that is in the bird. Yeah, so I made this into a drum last night.
Wow.
So just so that way I could show it off. And
Yeah,
so,
I wondered.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and it was presented in this manner
Isn't
with
that
the
cool?
drum inside the
Yeah.
bird cage.
That is so unique.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Love it.
that was
Love it. Love it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great memory. So
Yeah.
that's, and then also from that designer was along there was a trunk show, and so this was not left out at our table. We had to buy this separately, but in the trunk show, this is the third design that is from that antique sampler. So
So it was a Blackbird trunk show there too that you could purchase.
yeah. So so they had a trunk show that had several. They had fabrics and design. You know,
Okay.
it wasn't a Blackbird only trunk
Only, yeah,
show.
okay. So
It
it's
It had a
standard
mix of
trunk
every.
show.
Yeah,
Okay,
it had a mix
cool.
of everything. So they've got a
neat.
classroom in the back, and so
Okay.
they just put everything in the classroom, and so you
That's
could
nice.
have it. And then that afternoon was Samplers Not Forgotten. We were given one with a
at
sampler
those
called
colors on that
Linton
fabric.
Rose.
Look at the colors.
Yeah. So and then it came kitted up
Oh my
with Weeks Dye Works. I think it's parchment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with all the colors, and then
Those colors.
there's various specialty stitches, but she's provided excellent. They're some of the best directions on how to do the specialty stitches. So she had a special, one of the activities that she gave out was a scrambled, letters were scrambled for different stitches, and then you had to try to solve them. That was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so this is a little bit bigger than a fat quarter, and she was giving us a fat half.
Wow.
So she's like, what can we do with that extra little bit? So she also she took some of the motifs and the designs and made a drum,
That's perfect.
and a little pincushion to use the remainder of that fat half.
That's perfect.
And then from Stacy Nash is a
You're
pocket,
gonna have to drag out your station.
and there's also a pen drum, and then
Gorgeous
a pinball, and she gifted us with the fabric and the floss and the ribbon
Love the
to go along
house.
with it. Yeah, that
Those
house
colors
is,
I like
that
house
really
too.
pretty.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the most interesting things about Stacy Nash, well, Stacy Nash is just cool. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got a farm, and and so watching her presentation was really cool. But what's interesting is that she grabs a piece of fabric, she grabs the colors that she likes, and then she designs as she stitches.
Oh.
Yeah, I've
And then
seen
once
some
she
of
does the design finished, then she enters it into the computer. And
Oh.
and it's like, that is really cool
Wow.
Yeah.
that she can do it that way.
That's talent.
Yeah.
That's talent.
Oh yeah. And then
Whoa.
the first night, or the first morning, along with the Blackbird designs, we also got a little country sampler bag, and in it we received the there's
cool.
a state series,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and so
Yep.
we got the Wisconsin pillow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Which
Yeah.
you totally need one of those.
yeah, my mom's from Wisconsin.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that works
we're-
out good.
Yep.
Like you have, besides just going to Country Sampler.
Yep.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, so that's
That's
what-
awesome.
oh yeah, the retreat, and I got to meet with Elma and the other designers, and so that was fun to pick their brain on how they
Yeah.
design, and they come up with ideas, and I just got to meet so many awesome people.
Right.
Isn't that the best part of it?
Yeah.
To
So
me, that's the best part of the
we
retreat.
were
I mean-
having dinner the first night, and then someone came up to the table, and they put out their phone, and they're like, "What's on my phone, for Pete's sake?" And they had the video from the first
Oh.
the first video that I did with Chrissy,
That's
so that
funny.
was
That's
fun
cute.
fun to do. So it was just
That's,
a lot of fun.
That's the best part.
There's-
I mean, my third year at StitchCon, I think I spent more time this year than ever going around and
Yeah.
chatting. And
Yeah.
you talk to people on Instagram, and not always do you know what they look like, and some of them know what I look like now. So it's nice that they
Yep.
come up and introduce themselves.
I have to admit, I think my favorite part is the dang auction.
Oh,
And I
that
didn't
was-
know if they would have it back because last year was the first year they
and
did an
last
auction.
year there was like one thing, and this year there were multiple things.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because I think I said this to Steph. The first year, it was her first year, I think, to do an auction last year.
Last
Mm.
year was.
And this year, oh, did she up her game?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, she was on point. I mean,
We're still waiting to hear the number,
Yeah.
but just to know what was reached and for that whole
for that
service
service,
project.
Yeah,
Last year it started with a random piece of a yard
yeah,
of
a
hand dyed fabric that was like, here, auction this off and
And-
you can
Okay.
add it.
Yep.
That's how it started, just as a women. And Stephanie was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to be an auctioneer.
Well, she's taking
And
lessons
she
from
did very
somebody.
well.
Very good.
And then she got totally
into it.
into it,
Okay.
and she plays that role, fabulously. And so this year they added. I wondered, would they do it again, and how could you not
Oh,
after you had
gosh.
such a success? And then this year they added a few things, and so there was.
Oh, there were full skeins of weeks and full skeins
mean,
of gem
full
arts and
full sets.
sets.
Oh, wow.
Complete
Yes,
sets.
sets. I don't know if it was color and
Got a
cotton.
message.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. But Weeks was one. And, there's just a super special story that, I won't put a lot out there, but
It was very
somebody
special.
had, auctioned and then bid on the entire line of Weeks and did it in honor of Philip. So, the auction to me is cool because it is flying around the
Oh, yeah.
room.
You're looking
And
all over the room.
It's almost like no holds bar,
Yeah.
You're like, dude, she's at 1,000,
Yep.
And you're hoping somebody over there is just going to keep going. It's
Right.
not my money, so
Right.
I mean, but that to me, to see that community, people, just people in general being that giving and that caring and that warm,
Yes.
that's to me is just what the stitching community is all about.
Mhm.
But it was cool, and I'm waiting to hear the total between the 2 weekends because we tend to compete.
Yeah.
We're a little competitive.
And there's a
so-
video out today from Keepsakes, and they're still working on the tally, so I'm sure
Right.
we'll know it soon.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have very little haul, and the power's going.
have
We're at
no
an
haul.
hour and 37 minutes, but I will say that I grabbed just a little Teresa Kogut fabric because I definitely want to do some of my patriotic smalls and keep going. It's really nice to be designing and yet having these smalls and Prairie Schooler, and it makes me feel like I'm still stitching things that I love too,
Yep.
of the smaller nature. And then this came from Fat Quarter Shop, which is, I thought for sure I will probably do the eagle or one of them. We'll see. I don't want to stitch on black, but I will try and see if I can throw it in a bowl or something like that. So I've seen them stitched up pretty cute. So I'll either stick with the eagle or Uncle Sam on that. The fabric that we got, oh, this one we got to open that up and show. This was my big purchase of fabric, or not big, but it was the Grace Notes fabric, and it's called Sarah. And I will say that I have, this is their Lugana called Sarah.
That color comes across pretty good on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit darker.
I will say Grace Notes Fabrics, met them at Market. I've used 2 of their pieces in a couple of models now, and I love their fabric, and it is super nice to work with. That was that. At Keepsakes itself, I really just kept it simple for me this year. I've been working on these little ones. I found this witch one that I didn't have, and then just grabbed, I mean, seriously, they're just fun.
Yep.
So both me and Jen grabbed those. I hadn't had this, so I grabbed that real quick. This was from the freebie table, and that is Scissortail Designs. This one I just had to have for Lincoln, just like all that. And again, it's not too big of a piece. The one Sue Hillis I said I wasn't going to add to my Sue Hillis collection, but I did. But I like the fact that it was kind of monochromatic. So Jen and I each got this, and we're gonna definitely do the box. So
You still have
I
your
just
Christmas
like,
memories
yeah, we're not
box.
talking about that box.
Okay.
That box has like 900 colors in that box. But I love it. I just hope she's gonna give me hers one day. That's what's gonna happen.
At my granddaughter's.
Yeah, I know, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. She probably won't want it one day. But I loved, I mean, Sue Hillis's displays are awesome. And then Rebel Stitcher had the vintage jewelry, and it comes with a ring in case you decide. But I got to tell you, yeah, it comes with this in this sweet little black bag. And I like jonesed over these things. And so we got back, and she does have them in her Etsy shop. We got back from StitchCon, and nothing like life getting right back to normal, because the very next day we had to put our elderly golden retriever down. We knew it was coming, and my husband didn't want to share on the ride home, which I'm glad he didn't. But that happened literally the day that we got home. And so Jen, my friend, saw me jonesing over those, and she was saving it for my birthday. But when she came over, she's like, "Here, you need this." This is why we love all of our stitchy friends. Right. Okay, so we're going to insert some pictures, drive home, and we're just thankful to all be together again, and thankful to have these retreats to go to, and so much more fun to come. Do you have any more retreats you got this year?
Nope.
That was your big...
No. My goal for the year was to go to one retreat.
Right.
And so that's my one retreat.
And it was a good one.
And it was a good one.
It was a good one.
We have a one day coming up in August that we'll probably do.
Yeah, but
one days I don't
One day.
count.
Yeah.
One days I don't count. It's kind of like, if we can get together and all three of us, that's the only time we really do get to stitch together.
Right.
And we're going to be alternating FlossTube, so as long as you're good with making the drive, there's just no reason we can't just keep having you. You need a coffee shirt.
We got
Amazon.
I'm just the occasional guest. It seems to be about every 4 months.
Right.
So.
Well, next time we should see Live on Little finished, or not Live on Little.
Let Love Rain.
Let Love Rain. Sorry about that.
I don't need all that water.
Oh, and I'm ready. And I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah.
I've already seen it. It's already on my wish list.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We're good to go. Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you later, and probably the next time we're back is going to be July. Holy cow! July 2023. Yeah. Where the heck is the year going? All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Don't forget to floss.